Well, let's get an insight now on Chavez, the man. Al Jazeera's Dima Khatib was bureau chief in Caracas and met Chavez on numerous occasions and joins us now live from Dubai. Dima, good to see you there. You got to know Chavez pretty well. Tell us about what he was like.
I met Chavez 10 years ago, right after the coup d'etat that tried to oust him and managed to get him out of the palace just for 48 hours. And he was a very simple guy. He didn't act like a president at all back then. And he was a man who said that he wanted to be Bolivarian, Christian Bolivarian. We were not sure what that meant, and he tried to explain it to me back then. When I returned to Venezuela after that, he had already started becoming presidential and started talking about socialism, until we reached the man that he has become, which is someone who wanted to found the socialism of the 21st century, as he calls it. Someone who is very, very charismatic and has amazing communicational capacities. He's capable of talking to anyone and making that someone feel they are much more important than him, whether they're a poor lady in the Venezuelan countryside, or a foe, or a military general, or just a foreign guest, or a journalist. He's someone who leaves an impact on things and people, whatever he does, whether it's negative or positive. And he's someone who sort of changed the face of Venezuela inside out, because he put Venezuela on the map. Before that, people didn't know much about Venezuela. Now people relate Venezuela to Chavez. And also, he gave Venezuelans some sort of dream. Some Venezuelans, whether he's made that dream come true or not, that's debatable, but he's given them a dream that they've never had before, because he came from within the poor classes of Venezuela. So he's changed a lot over these 10 years that I've seen him.
Right, and you talk about his charisma. Is that something that you felt when you were in his presence? Is that something that really came across?
Absolutely. I've seen people who would tell me just outside where they were going to meet him that they're going to tell him this and that and that, and that they prepared for this for days or months or years. And the moment that they saw Chavez, they completely changed, because he's capable of seeing through people and going 10 steps ahead and knowing exactly what this person wanted from him. And he would just really jump with his charisma and with his capacity to read people, to get out of that person whatever he wanted, and would change their attitude. I've seen his foes change their attitudes when they met him. So yes, he had an incredible charisma, and he spent a lot of time on TV because he has communicational skills that are capable of making him win elections one after the other, because he knows how to communicate with the people. Okay,
and he also had this real affinity with the Arab world, didn't he? But he did not understand the Arab revolutions.
Yes, he did have a very special affinity with the Arab world. I remember one of his first stories to me about the Arab world was that he had met an Arab merchant or shopkeeper in his native Barinas, and that person had given him a pair of shoes when he was poor and walking barefoot, and that since then he had been fascinated with the Arabic culture. And he's always said that in some past life he must have been a desert man. Yes, he had an affinity with the Arab world, not just because he felt some kind of love for the Arab world, but also because he felt that the Arab world and Latin America have a lot in common. He felt that many of the issues in the Arab world are just causes. For him, the Palestinian cause, for example, was one of his priorities in his foreign policy. What he did against Israel, hardly anybody had ever done what he did. He actually kicked out all the Israeli diplomats from the embassy in a way that had never been done anywhere around the world because of Israel's war on Gaza. So he bonded with the Arab world through things like the Palestinian cause. But when the Arab revolutions came, and he was very, very popular in the Arab world, I would walk around the streets of any Arab city and people would stop me and say, when you see him next, please tell him we love him, we admire him. But when Arab revolutions came, he saw the Libyan, actually it was the Libyan revolution that made the difference. He saw the threat on himself represented by the same threat on Gaddafi, because the United States and France, those that he calls the empire, were against him. So he identified with Gaddafi, and then he identified with Bashar al-Assad, and he could not have he could not have taken a different stance, because he feels he's targeted by the United States, and that what happened to him in 2002 is what happened to Gaddafi and Bashar al-Assad, which obviously is his own point of view and not the point of view of many Arabs.
Certainly a fascinating insight on Chavez, the man. Dima Khatib, we appreciate your views and your perspective on this. Thanks very much indeed.